All right, everybody. Nice to see you on this lovely, what is today? Wednesday morning. Did not expect to do a live stream today, but here we are. We have a title for the Amazon show. We can stop calling it hashtag LOTR on Prime. We have a show. The Rings of Power. The Lord of the Rings. The Rings of Power. What do you guys think of it? I'm curious. Let me know in the chat. You guys pumped? I gotta say, I like this title. I think it's a good one. But man, I am pumped. Andrew, shout out to Andrew. Thanks, man. Yeah, so I think if I had to guess, this is the voice of the actress playing the younger version of Galadriel. I think that would make a lot of sense. Sounds good, in my opinion. Colin took the words right out of my mouth. That was one of my first reactions. Was I love the pronouncing of Mordor, giving it a little flair. I love it. Mordor. Looked kind of fake. I wonder. Yeah, I was trying to figure out. If is that real or CG? It's hard to tell. I will notice. So I made a couple observations here. Yeah, I think we're definitely getting second age for sure. So what does this mean? That's the big question. What does this tell us? Not a ton, but with the title like Rings of Power, obviously, we're gonna see the Rings of Power. There's 20 in total. We've got the one of Sauron. We've got the 3 that the elves make without Sauron's influence, just using his methods of ring creation. And then the first ones created are the 9 that go to men and the 7 that end up going to the dwarves. Behind the scenes confirms it is not CGI. Nice. So that's actual wood there. I'm going to draw something. Something came to my attention this last time watching it. And I noticed that the water comes in as she. So that's pretty legit. Having that water come in as she's talking about men kind of works on a couple levels. I like it. It's clever. I like the script. It reminds me a little bit of like the original Lord of the Rings script, not quite as flowing and curvy, but if you go back and look at the original teaser for before Fellowship of the Ring, it was definitely a whole different look to what we ended up with the trilogy. So what do you guys think? I'm going to put a poll up. So it'll be simple. Do you like the title? Yes or no? What we got? Let me know. All right. So what else could this mean? It doesn't tell us much about Numenor. Obviously, that's one of the realms that we've talked a lot about. But except for that little visual of the water coming in when talking about the rings of men, I think this kind of confirms that we're going to see Sauron handing out the rings, most likely. I don't think you'd title a show the Rings of Power without with all the rings being in their final positions. You wouldn't start the show with the 7 dwarf lords having their rings and the 9 men having their rings. So I think we'll get to see Sauron the Master Manipulator in this show, going to these peoples of Middle Earth. And I think I think this kind of kind of confirms that, you know, people were fearing that we wouldn't see the creation of the one or of the rings of power, perhaps. But I think this means that we likely will, especially with this. This has a very craftsman-y look to it. You know, the forging. It's like forging the logo here. Video on this. Okay, well, let's do that first. Let me pull that up here. Thank you to Argentino for the tip off. Rings of Power behind the scenes. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, let's see. Let's see if I can get this working. All right. Get my other tab up here. These impromptu streams, man, I tell you. All right. Here we go. Oh, look at that. Oh, that looks legit. Wow. Dang. Oh, sorry, it was muted. I was reacting to it and it was muted the whole time. But we got to see it visually there. Here, we can play it over with the audio. So legit. That's awesome. That is awesome. All right, let's see what you guys answered in the poll here. 85% like the title. Very cool. Yeah, I think it's a good title. I feel like it's a safe title, you know. I know some people have said you know, the kind of the rings coming twice in a row, the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power. But I don't think there was any way they were not going to use the title Lord of the Rings. It's just too universally known, too well known. Oh, here's a good question. Heath asks, what are some videos you recommend to watch to prepare? So in light of this reveal, I actually, in the description of this stream right now, I have my playlist of going through the different rings of power and their abilities and their history and everything. It's a fun series that I started back in like September of last year. And actually, the last one comes out on Saturday. So this is incredible timing. So Saturday's video is going to be on the One Ring, and it is actually the longest video that I have made here on the channel. So there's a lot of stuff to go over. It'll be very, very appropriate for those preparing for the show. Yeah, so check out that playlist for sure. I've got some other videos. Pretty much all the characters that we know that are going to appear in this show. I've done a lot of their a lot of videos focusing on them. So Elrond and Galadriel, Celebrimbor, Círdan. I did a whole history of Numenor video here on the channel. Definitely check that one out. I think that one will give you a lot of information and hints of what we're going to see in the show. Welcome, Picasso Trigger. New member of Condor. I'm in with Amazon. I was not reached out to anyone from Amazon about this worked out really well that I was working from home this morning. Otherwise, we'd probably be waiting until after I got home from work to do this. But no, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't get tips. I will say of Gondor, I'll give a shout out to of Gondor because in the supporter Discord, in the channel member and Patreon Discord, she predicted this title like months ago. And she's been commenting it on the onering.net streams ever since. So shout out to of Gondor. I liked it from the moment she posted it. I thought that was a good option for the show. Ooh, Casper, good question. Do you think the series will be better than the movies? That is a high bar, my friend. That is a very high bar. I always have trouble with comparing shows to films because of the nature of shows. Like I love films because you can sit down and watch it and go on a journey in one sitting, whereas shows, they go on for multiple seasons. It's kind of a multi-day event or multi-week thing. So I think it'll be kind of hard to compare them in that sense. I will say I do have very high expectations. Anytime, we're talking about Tolkien adaptations, whether it's this one or the upcoming War of the Rohirrim, I have high expectations. So yeah, I think that's an appropriate thing given the source material, So I'm really pumped for the show, and I have high expectations of it, and yeah, I'm pumped even more by watching this today. Celebrimbor. My name is literally Celebrimbor, and I was not offered a role as myself. Curse Jeff Bezos. Your birth name is Celebrimbor. Wow, man, I would love to meet your parents. I would never be able to get by with get the approval of my wife for naming a kid a Tolkien character. I tried. Believe me, I tried to come up with one. Ryan, loved the recent Ungoliant video. Thank you. Might me, but they'd have to win 7 Oscars. So that would be Emmys. For TV shows, it's Emmys. So that would be totally different. Council of Gondor, what do you most look forward to? The show or the anime War of the Rohirrim? If it depends on the day. Right now it's the Amazon show because there's a recency bias there. I'm all pumped up and like my blood's pumping and I'm all excited about this. I'm looking forward to both. Like the fact that there's 2 Lord of the Rings or Middle Earth related projects in development right now is pretty amazing. And I have a feeling it's just the start. So yeah, it'll be exciting. It'll be exciting to see what happens from here on out. Yeah, Eric, her voice is wonderful. Great pronunciation. Yeah. I like I said earlier, I love the pronunciation of Mordor. So good. And it kind of fits with Galadriel. Obviously, it's not going to be the same voice as Cate Blanchett, but if it is Galadriel, I think it's yeah, I think that could very well be Galadriel. Sorry, of Gondor. My bad. Sometimes it's hard. Yeah, I don't know. Did I say she? Maybe I did. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Of Gondor. He predicted it back months ago. I've got a couple similar named handles involving the word Gondor in my mind, and I think I confused you with someone else. Sorry about that. How can you tell this is Galadriel's voice? I can't, but it's a hunch. I think with Galadriel narrating the original trilogy prologue, it kind of makes sense that they would go with that. But who knows? It could be someone else. But I think the safe money would be on Galadriel. All right. Greetings from Chile. All right. Oh, another thing. So I shout out to Fellowship of Fans. I got from them. Also shout out to Vladarella, new YouTube member. Thanks for joining and supporting the channel. I got a tip off from Fellowship of Fans that we have a bit of text from the showrunners. I'll pull up here. From the Hollywood Reporter, just released this morning. And so J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay are the showrunners, and here's a quote from them that gives us a little bit more insight. This is a title that we imagine could live on the spine of a book next to J.R.R. Tolkien's other classics. The Rings of Power unites all the major stories of Middle-earth's Second Age. The Forging of the Rings, the Rise of the Dark Lord Sauron, the epic tale of Numenor, and the last alliance of elves and men. Pumped. Yeah. Oh, and then there's more. Until now, audiences have only seen the on-screen story of the One Ring. But before there was one, there were many, and we're excited to share the epic story of them all. Nice. So it sounds like, kind of what we've thought for a while. I know there was some rumors. People were kind of worried. Oh, we're getting the storyline of Numenor. That must mean they're skipping over the Rings of Power. I think condensing the timeline is probably more likely, where those events happen closer together. But it sounds like we're getting the creation of the rings. We're getting the rise of Sauron. So that tells me that we're going to see him in his fair form, I would think, in his fair form of Anatar when he goes to the elves and, starts this whole Rings of Power thing. And then it's after that, when he creates the One Ring, that's when he starts building up his armies to make war on the elves of Eriador. So yeah, I think we'll see Sauron make his attack upon the elves, and Numenor will probably help, as they do in the books. And then we'll see Sauron and Numenor, and then probably the founding of Gondor and stuff. That's not even touched on here, but between Numenor and the Last Alliance, there's a fair amount that's going to happen there, where the Numenorians found Gondor and Arnor, and Sauron starts plaguing the realm of Gondor. So we'll see early Gondor. Who knows? We might see the building of places like Minas Tirith and the Tower of Orthanc, where Saruman later is. It's a lot of stuff. My mind's like exploding right now with all the possibilities. Previously released description. We already knew the description. Yeah. So that's that. I am pumped. All right, let's see some comments. Still nervous. Amazon's Wheel of Time show is not filling me with hope for the Lord of the Rings series. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know a whole lot about Wheel of Time. I've never read the books. I watched the show. I thought there was a couple episodes in there that were kind of slow paced for my taste. That kind of spent too long in the White Tower place. I don't know. I don't think, I think a lot of people are equating like, oh, Wheel of Time is like this, so that means Lord of the Rings is gonna look and feel exactly the same. Or, I think, there's entirely different people working on these productions because they're being produced at the same time. So I don't think, if you weren't keen on Wheel of Time, I don't think, that's any reason to write off Lord of the Rings by any means. Why would they need a younger version of Galadriel? Yeah, so, other than avoiding the cost of hiring Kate Blanchett, voice changes or physical changes, thought those didn't happen to elves. Yeah, so, I mean, Galadriel is immortal for sure, and there wouldn't be really much change from the time that we see her in the Second Age, or the First Age for that matter, into the Third Age. Um, you know, I think, more so there, this is a 5-season show would be, at least is what we're thinking. So that'd be quite a commitment from an actress who is regularly getting Oscar nominations. So she's would probably come at a very high price to have her in this show and doing a lot of stunts, and it's a lot of involvement. Yeah, so I think, and plus, I mean, elves don't age, but people do. And Kate Blanchett as a person, she ages wonderfully. Obviously, we've seen over the last 20 years, but still, if she's going to be on, if she were to be on a show for 5 years, you would presumably, eventually, she will presumably look like she is aged. I know she hasn't so far, but presumably she will. And plus, she would be, um, she would be, yeah, very expensive, I would think, and hard to get and schedule. Do you think they will start the show with the creation of Arda? If they, I see. I don't know if they would have the rights to. So I'll give a little tease. So I just interviewed Daniel Faulkner from Weta yesterday, and I recorded that interview. I'm going to release it either tomorrow, maybe next week, but sometime soon. And we actually talked a little bit about how delicate these productions have to be with rights in regards to. We were talking about references to previous ages, like First Age of Middle Earth stuff, that they were able to work into the props and things, but they can't draw attention to it, kind of thing. So I don't know that we would see it adapted, because I don't think they have the rights to show that. Um, but it would be cool. I couldn't see it being any more than like a blip of a moment in like a prologue sequence, though. Um, yeah, I don't think they'll invest a lot of runtime in that. All right, let's see here. What's Celebrimbor says? Too long to read. Galadriel was friends with Celebrimbor and makes sense to be a narrator for Second Age stories. Also, not many other candidates for this role. Yeah, I mean, you could maybe go with Elrond, but even he's quite a bit younger than Galadriel. Galadriel gives you that um, immortal, not only immortal, but she's already been around for a long time. So she's kind of that ageless. It's the reason that, originally they thought of Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings for the prologue, which would have worked, but Galadriel just gives off that immortality vibe, whereas Gandalf, he sounds like an old man, and you don't, at that point, you wouldn't have known much of Gandalf being an immortal being himself. So yeah, I think Galadriel's a good choice, and she does have a lot of connections to other characters in the story. Well, this is a good question. How do you make 5 seasons out of such limited information on the Second Age? So yeah, it's tricky because there's not a lot of published material, but what we do have is kind of summaries and notes. There's not a lot of dialogue. So we know of events and we know a lot of specifics, how things played out, but we don't have, like a conversation between Sauron and Celebrimbor. So they're going to have to make that stuff up, They're going to have to adapt that as best they can in a style that is reminiscent of a Tolkien adaptation. So it's definitely a big challenge that they face. But as far as the events of the Second Age go, I think there's definitely enough there for 5 seasons. There's certainly enough conflict going on between Sauron and the elves, Sauron and Numenor. There's, like the previously alluded to, rings of power being handed out. We may even see the gradual, or maybe not so gradual, depending on how they do it, the transformation of the 9 men who become mighty lords and sorcerers and warriors, and then they gradually turn into wraiths, and then they pop back up in the second age still. So yeah, there's a lot of possibilities there. Yeah. Casper, I don't know if it's Casper. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Galadriel's played by Morfydd Clark, and it's her voice for 99%, in my opinion. Well, there you go. Yeah, I actually have not seen her in anything. When's Nerd of the Bricks gonna upload? As soon as I can edit the video that we shot. We did, for those of you who don't know, I started a second channel with my 10-year-old son, and we're doing Lego builds, and we've got a couple Lord of the Rings ones that are long retired that we're going to be doing over there on Nerd of Bricks. But we filmed one of Boba Fett's ship, aka Slave One. So we built that. That'll be the first episode. Hopefully I can get it edited no later than this weekend. Yeah, Leo says plans change. There might be more than 5 seasons. There might be less. That's true. I doubt there will be less. If anything, I could see them doing more. I know in the since deleted interview that I managed to watch on YouTube before it got taken down, there's kind of some things in an interview on a YouTube channel that someone suggested that they might even keep going beyond the second age. Like if this works out well, they might go ahead and readapt, as it were, the Lord of the Rings, or other things happen in the third age. Yeah, I think if it goes well, I think I don't know if I would say the floodgates will open with Tolkien adaptations, but I think the pace will certainly quicken. Like right now, what are we averaging? Like 10 years between adaptations. We had Lord of the Rings 20 years ago, The Hobbit 10 years ago, and now we're having Amazon. So yeah, I think if the show goes well, is well received, and anywhere near as good as the films, then we might see an influx of Tolkien adaptations, which would be awesome. Okay, 1 million subs before December, Mr. Nerd. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Next week, we'll probably have a 500,000 subscriber live stream to celebrate that. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. I never would have dreamed when I started this 2 years ago. It's almost 2 years ago to the day, actually, that we'd be sitting here at 500,000 in 2 years. Council of Gondor, good question. What do you fear they will cut from the show? Man. I don't. That's a good question. I think when the rumors were that they'd be skipping over the Rings of Power in their creation, I wouldn't say that I feared they would cut it, because I never really believed that they would. It's just too good for them to cut. But I do wonder if I have some blind spots where I think that all this stuff is golden, and I'm like, oh, well, they wouldn't dream of cutting that. And then they do. And then I'll be caught off guard. I'll be kind of shell shocked. I will say, I hope they show Isildur's heroicness, if that's a word. Heroism. There we go. That's better. I hope they show Isildur being a hero, and saving the fruit of the tree that then becomes the White Tree of Gondor. It would make I love the idea of whatever happens in the show adding to the Lord of the Rings films that we already know. So showing Isildur in a heroic light will make his fall to the power of the ring all the more tragic when we see it in possibly in the end of this show, but also in the trilogy. So yeah, I hope they do a little character rehab, because I think Isildur, while he definitely messed up, obviously, I think he kind of gets a bad rap because you only see that part of the story in the films, whereas he had some really heroic moments before that. Of Gondor says, "Hear me out. Amazon bought all the Silmarillion book except Quinta Silmarillion." I don't know. Maybe I haven't heard anything official on that. To my knowledge, as far as I know, all they've bought is like the stuff that involves Numenor. Thanks, Des. 500K coming up right around the corner. Okay, so S Stutters here he has a great outlook for the show. I know there's been you'll see a lot of comments, people, you know, writing it off or worrying about it. And I always bring this up when I talked with Corey Olson months and months ago. He said don't borrow stress. Worrying about something you don't know about is just borrowing stress. So I'm not going to worry about it. Like I said, I have high expectations for the show. Um, Everything so far, like S Stutter says here, so far so good. We've seen the first image looked just like it came out of some of the best shots of that we saw in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. That image of Valinor, that looked fantastic. This title sequence looks fantastic. I like the title. So far so good. I mean, everything that's been officially released has been golden. So I'm still gonna have really high expectations for the show, but yeah, there's no reason to freak out, people. No reason to freak out. I think I missed a super chat here. Let me see. David, love the channel and always look forward to your videos. I'm expecting, with how long some of the episodes are, it'll be decently canon, but we'll see. Keep doing what you're doing. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to September. I will tell you guys, we're gonna have a lot of fun in September. I will definitely be doing episode by episode breakdowns, assuming that Amazon releases these on a week-to-week basis, like so many shows have done. That's the nice thing about a week-to-week show. That's why YouTubers, we like week-to-week shows, because if, like Netflix, I can't imagine being like a Witcher channel where they just dump all the episodes and then it's like, oh gosh, now I have to make videos for all of this over the course of like a week or two. Winter's Lady, hey Matt, newbie here. Just discovered your channel via Torn's show yesterday, and I like what I see already. Awesome. Well, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for subscribing. Got a lot of chats here. Wow. If you can, you should do a Lego Lord of the Rings stream like you did with The Hobbit. Yes, we'll definitely do that. Back in the early days of my channel, I actually did a 24-hour Lego Lord of the Rings stream. But then I realized after the fact that YouTube doesn't save a stream if you stream for that long. So it kind of fell by the wayside because I couldn't post it or anything. But yeah, I will definitely be revisiting Lego Lord of the Rings because I absolutely love that game. Maybe either here or maybe on the Lego channel. We'll see. Can't wait to see Sauron laughing as Numenor drowns if they do it in the show at some point. Well, Numenor will definitely drown in the show. I think that is a given, especially with the description that we just read, where they mention the last alliance of elves and men. That absolutely, takes place far beyond the drowning of Numenor. We'll see the whole tale of Numenor, I think. And yeah, Sauron, it'll be so cool to see Sauron's, because Sauron's body is destroyed in the drowning of Numenor. But it's the culmination of what he's been working towards, this massive power When Sauron is captured, his forces fear the might of the Numenorians because they're just this incredible, powerful, just uh, the splendor of this army and the might of this army drives away Sauron's forces in fear, and then that's when he gives himself up and is taken captive to Numenor. So yeah, seeing that would be the culmination of him taking the mightiest player on the board in terms of the War of Middle Earth, taking them completely out of the game, almost, except for the handful of survivors. So yeah, oh man, I could just picture Sauron atop of the Temple of Morgoth in Numenor as the waves come. Oh, missing. I want to make sure I think I saw Josh's super chat here. Make sure I get that pulled up. Josh, thanks for all that you do, nerd. Good luck with the new channel. Here's to Nerd of the Rings hitting 1 million subscribers. Oh man, that's crazy. I got chills a little bit reading that out loud. That would be crazy. It's not about the subs for sure. I mean, I just love doing this and hanging out with you guys and creating fun Tolkien related content that people enjoy. Like I just love seeing you guys' comments on all the videos and everything. And subscribers are fun. Don't get me wrong. I love hitting milestones. It definitely is a nice energy boost. So we'll see what happens. All right. Okay, so we'll go for a couple more minutes here, guys. I think we've pretty much covered what was in the teaser here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We'll be having anytime news breaks. So whenever the trailer is, I'm going to be standing by because my prediction from months ago is that it would be at the Super Bowl. So I'm going to be watching the Super Bowl, even though no team I care about will be playing in it. And I'll just be waiting for that trailer to drop. And when it does, we'll be hopping on a live stream to break it down. And that will probably be a pretty lengthy live stream because we'll go through that thing frame by frame. Council of Gondor, advice you can give to a fellow Tolkien YouTuber. Shout out to Council of Gondor, fellow YouTuber. Honestly, just keep making stuff. Make stuff that you enjoy. The biggest thing, one of the best pieces of advice that I got when I started was to not get too hung up in the numbers. Especially, when you're early on, like I remember the early days, I would actually see days where I wouldn't get any subscribers and it would be so demoralizing. And like I started a practice of trying to only look at it once a week. But at the end of the day, make what you're passionate about and what you enjoy doing, because that's what's going to help you stick with it. A lot of YouTubers, the biggest reason they fail is that they stop too early. I mean, it took me 9 months or 10 months to get to 5,000 subscribers. And then that was kind of the point where it started to take off, and it feels like it happens overnight. But it's actually the result of all that toil that you did when you felt like no one was watching. So yeah, I would say, stick with it, but above all, do what you love, do what you get fired up to do, and what'll make you happy making. Who is Josiah? 2 things. Number 1, thank you for your channel. It has shown me that there are others who love this stuff. Oh yes, there are definitely others who love that stuff. You're in good company, man. Number 2, did you notice the music was trilogy-esque, like similar to Lord of the Rings trilogy? So that is probably with a very good reason. This has not been confirmed, but our friends over at Fellowship of Fans did release the rumor that Howard Shore is returning to Middle Earth, and he, alongside Bear McCreary, who did, among other things, the really excellent soundtrack to the God of War video game. He's done a couple of the God of War video games, and I've been listening to them just kind of in mental preparation, hearing his style and everything. And I could definitely see certainly some Dwarvish and some Numenorian. It didn't take much of a stretch of my imagination to picture those civilizations with his music. Oh, this is a good, yeah. So if you came in late, I did point this out earlier. When she says 9 for mortal men doomed to die is when the water comes, which is, a little visual hint of the drowning of Numenor, which is fantastic. All right. Well, that's going to be it for me, guys. We did a nice little, went a little longer than I expected with just a 1-minute teaser, but that's the nature of being a Tolkien fan. Just wait till a full trailer comes out, like 3 minutes. We'll probably spend like 3 hours on it. So if this is your first time here, please do hit that subscribe button. I've got all kinds of lore videos here on the channel. We go over all kinds of topics and characters and realms and histories that will tie directly into this show and the events that you'll see in it. We'll just we just have a great time here talking about Tolkien. I appreciate so much each and every one of you that tunes into these streams and watches the videos. It's just I'm constantly amazed at the Tolkien fandom. I can honestly say there's no other fandom that I would like to spend this time in. So thank you for everything, for being here, and that'll be it. We'll see what happens. Maybe Super Bowl, February 13th. Mark your calendars. Maybe we'll have a live stream. We'll see. All right. Well, let's close this thing out. That's a great recommendation. Let's close this thing out with the trailer one more time. One more time. Why not? We've got to do it one more time, right? So good. All right. Mordor. All right. Hope you enjoyed the teaser. Whenever we get a full trailer, we'll definitely be back here. So hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time on Nerd of the Rings.